I don't know what HD is, but the doctor said I have 80 of them.
Became friends. Do you want to hang out? I actually have ADHD, so I'm gonna ignore your text messages for probably months and months, and then randomly I'll pop up out of the blue and be like, oh my god, I never saw this, and then I'll text you. Okay, so do you want to hang out then when you text me the second time? No, then I'll probably ignore you for months and months after that again as well. Oh, okay. Do you just not want to hang out with me? That's what's funny. I actually want to hang out with you so badly, but my brain won't let me do it. Okay.
Shut up! Oh my god, I don't care!
We have the stereotype that folks with ADHD are somehow less organized than neurotypical folks. Excuse me, have you read an email by a neurotypical person? It's like 3 pages of block text and like a whisper of a hint of a task to do. And like, compare that to my colleagues with ADHD who will send a beautifully crafted email that has like sections clearly labeled and bullet points and things color coordinated and a very succinctly summarized to-do list with like linked materials, and it's well organized and thoughtful, and there's like no assumptions about what I know or don't know. It's just meticulously beautiful. And the neurotypicals will like whisper a task into the universe and expect that I heard it and know what that means. Ugh. Why are they the standard of operation? It makes no sense. They're not good at things.
This is for the high functioning but not okay peeps. If you crashed and burned, if things came apart and you weren't able to function like you used to, I want you to know that it's because all that time you were so high functioning, you were cannibalizing yourself to do so, okay? I made another video about this, but think about it that way. It was like you were starved for 40 days, your body was eating your own tissue to survive, and then it can't do that anymore at some point. It is not a failure that you can't do it anymore if you're not able to. It is actually your system telling you enough. And so then we have to figure out a whole new way of functioning, how to find a new source of nourishment instead of consuming yourself in order to give to others, to your job, to the stuff in your life. And that's challenging, but it's totally doable. And it starts with tuning into yourself, finding yourself, building a better relationship with yourself. I hope that helps.
Let's talk about ADHD and false memories. So I had brought a bag in from my car and I had placed it on my stairs, right? And now it's not there. And I'm thinking, well, I cleaned the other day. I must have put it somewhere and I didn't imprint where I put it. But here's the thing, I have a clear memory of taking the bag out of my car and putting it onto the stairs. But in fact, I just went out to my car and it's on the floor in my car. And it never moved from the stairs to the car. It apparently never moved from the car to the stairs, but I must have been thinking about doing it and then my brain imprinted that I had actually done it. How many times have you done this? You swear to God you did something, but in fact, it's a step behind where you actually thought it was. It's like you falsely imprint things. It's the weirdest thing.
I can't believe you let your daughter misbehave like that in your house. Yeah, it's because she's in her home. She's comfortable. She can take off the mask that she's been wearing at school all day. She can finally let out all her hyperactivity and weirdness because at school she just gets ridiculed and bullied and feels an insane amount of guilt and pressure because she's aware of the fact that she can't keep up with her peers. So yeah, I let her play. Well, my kids have ADHD and I'm pretty sure they're the ones that are the bullies. Yeah, and that's why I let my kid misbehave at home so she doesn't at school. Your kids aren't comfortable in your house. So they have to let out the hyperactivity in school.
You know, it's like every day keeps getting harder, and I just start to wonder, like, at what point will I not be able to take this anymore? You know, you have it pretty easy, actually. You know what was bad? World War II. You should be grateful. Yeah, okay, I'm just really sad right now, and I need your help. Why would you be sad? You're not even in a war.
Sit down a schedule for your personal care test. Take a shower at the same time every day. It's so easy.
I keep a bottle of dry shampoo and toothpaste and sunscreen in the center console of my car. So that way I don't feel as guilty if I forget to shower or I'm running late or something. Because at least I look clean.
Someone gave me sleeping advice today, which was to go to bed when you're tired. And neurotypicals, right? But I don't think I've ever been as jealous of someone as I was in that moment.
How are you? Oh my god, you look amazing. Yeah. Are you still working at the... Right, so the Goodyear blimp isn't actually a blimp, right? It's a semi-rigid airship because it has internal metal structures. Yes, I know. That's... Well, do you like hot air balloons? That's more like a blimp than the Goodyear blimp. In your dating... Right, Bradley. Oh, he's so sweet. Where is he? Because of productivity, yeah, maybe we work a little bit differently, but that's because, and you were talking, so your mom, sorry, let's go back. Your mom said that to you. Okay, so similar story here. Right? I know this is a wonderful apartment. Yeah, no, I'm totally tapped out of people. Do you want to get out of here and maybe go listen to music?
kill him and dump the fucking bodies in it like obliterating. Everything is iterated, renegade. I'm gonna make anybody who want it with the pin and frame it. Don't nobody want it, but they're gonna get it anyway. I'm beginning to feel like I'm mentally ill until
Have you ever had a dream that you do?
Gosh, guys, I think my mental health is not too bad today. I'm actually having a pretty decent day.
All right, so we're over the sink, and I want to talk about like how contradictory ADHD is, because like on one hand we have impulsive spending, which sometimes I do that, but I am much more on the other end of the spectrum where I'm in decision paralysis on things. Like it took me 2 years to find the car I wanted to buy. It took me 6 months to buy a laptop. Like I have to do research and background information and like compare shit all the time. Like for little stuff, sure, like whatever, fucking throw it in the cart, let's move on. But anything larger than like $100, I really have to think about. I have to like debate in my mind if I want to spend it, like in the pros and cons and shit. So does anybody else lean more towards the decision paralysis instead of the impulsive spending? Like, because I certainly do.
You don't have ADHD. You have a greater capacity to process information.
I swear to Christ, ableism isn't retrograde this week. That's a thing, right? I mean, for the amount of times I'm getting tagged in shit like this, it's gotta be. For instance, I was tagged repeatedly in this one last night, and today I was fully prepared to roll in, tear out a proverbial asshole, hand it back, and then go for lunch. And then I saw his follow-up video. So where do we begin? Well, let's go backwards today.
A lot of the people who claim to have ADHD are mentioning symptoms of their experience that I share. I never saw it as ADHD.
Yeah, and I don't see myself as middle-aged, but here we are. First, let's clear this one up. It is not a deficit in attention, it's a deficit in the ability to control the attention. Oh, and Asperger's isn't a thing. Stop using it. Back on track. Yes, a lot of the symptoms of ADHD people are shared, even among neurotypicals. Forgetting to lock the door on the way to the house can happen to anybody, but it's those of us with ADHD that do it constantly, continually, and to the point where it detrimentally impacts our lives on a daily basis. Shared experience alone does not a neurodivergent make, any more than my ability to formulate rhyming words makes me a fucking rapper.
More sensitivity means higher capacity to process information.
You bet it does. While there's no definitive source, there are some studies out there that say that the neurodivergent brain runs at a rate at 4 to 10 times faster than the average. Now, factor in a brain that runs at warp 9 with brakes made of pudding, and that processing speed has a real potential to become a detriment when you're focused on the goddamn trees instead of your work assignment. How's that superpower working out for you now, Billy?
One of the great failures of the current system is that it tries to force neurodivergent people to process information in the way neurotypical people process information.
That is correct. The world is not set up for the neurodivergent. We are forced to adhere to the structures of the neurotypical. We are limited by those who stigmatize our disorder. Yes, disorder. Look it the fuck up. And while your follow-up video was a hell of a lot better than whatever the fuck that first one was, this shit.
Instead of pills, what you need is an organic form of discipline and training that allows you to gain control over your own mind and work with your mind so that you can have a high quality of life.
And this shit does little more than just pad that stigma further. Everybody experiences ADHD differently. This is a spectrum disorder that can present differently from day to day. And some people get the lovely experience of having the debilitating symptoms, to the point where they are unable to function without medication to help them. Having some fucking New World Order jackhole on the internet tell them that essentially what they need is yoga and a fruit cup is not only highly fucking arrogant, but invalidating, and made worse by the fact that you claim to be a neurodivergent yourself. Let's put this in a way you might be able to relate to better. You're helping the man win against your own kind. Did I do it right? And for the 100th fucking time, just because you view yours as a superpower does not mean that the vast majority of our already marginalized community sees it the same way. Quite the fucking opposite. So stop pushing this uneducated bullshit and making this stigma that we already have to fight against even harder to fucking break. Read up and do better. Dad's out.
ADHD PSA. And this one's for all my people pleasers out there from a recovering people pleaser. The hard truth about people pleasing is it is emotional manipulation. Every time you sacrifice a piece of yourself for somebody else, you are giving them a false expectation of who you are. And the people around you will not know the real you. So you are manipulating them into a false image of who you are. So if you do not have the energy, if you do not have the time, if you just don't want to do something, then don't. The people that care about you will not shame you, will not guilt you, and will not care what you do with your own time, even if it's not spending it with them. If they do, they're not worth your time. All you're doing is building resentment towards them and shame for yourself.
ADHD people have a great reason why you should drink water. Drinking water makes you hotter. It rhymes, therefore it must be true.